The West Bank, a land steeped in history and etched with the scars of conflict, continues to be a crucible of tension in the Middle East. Recent events, from escalating violence to stalled peace talks, serve as stark reminders of the unresolved issues that plague the region. For Palestinians living in the West Bank, the struggle for basic freedoms and self-determination remains a daily reality. The weight of occupation, felt through checkpoints, settlements, and economic hardship, casts a long shadow over their lives. The international community, while acknowledging the plight of the Palestinians, seems unable to break the deadlock. The two-state solution, once a beacon of hope, appears increasingly distant, leaving many questioning the viability of a lasting peace. As the cycle of violence continues, it is the ordinary people, caught in the crossfire, who bear the brunt of the suffering. Their stories, often unheard and unseen, paint a poignant picture of resilience in the face of adversity. Yet, even amidst despair, glimmers of hope emerge. Grassroots movements, advocating for nonviolent resistance and dialogue, offer a path towards reconciliation. The international community, too, has a crucial role to play in holding all parties accountable for their actions and fostering an environment conducive to peace. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, but the pursuit of a just and lasting solution for the West Bank remains a moral imperative. The plight of its people serves as a potent reminder of the human cost of conflict and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. The most palpable symbol of the Israeli occupation is the imposing separation barrier that snakes through the West Bank. Erected by Israel in the early 2000s, ostensibly for security reasons, the barrier has had a profound impact on the lives of Palestinians. It restricts their movement, separates families and communities, and limits access to essential services like healthcare and education. Checkpoints, manned by Israeli soldiers, punctuate the barrier, creating bottlenecks and adding hours to commutes. The presence of Israeli settlements within the West Bank further exacerbates tensions. These settlements, considered illegal under international law, encroach upon Palestinian land and resources. The settlers, often guarded by the Israeli military, enjoy privileges not afforded to their Palestinian neighbors, creating a stark disparity in living conditions. Water resources, a precious commodity in the arid region, are disproportionately allocated to settlements, leaving Palestinian communities struggling with shortages. The restrictions imposed by the occupation permeate every aspect of daily life. Palestinians require permits to travel within the West Bank, enter Jerusalem, or access Israel for work or medical care. These permits are often arbitrarily denied or revoked, leaving Palestinians feeling trapped and powerless. The constant threat of violence, whether from settlers or the Israeli military, adds another layer of stress and insecurity. The cumulative effect of these restrictions is a pervasive sense of frustration and despair. Palestinians feel their lives are on hold, their dreams deferred. Yet amidst these hardships, they exhibit remarkable resilience, finding ways to cope and maintain a sense of normalcy. Family ties remain strong, providing a vital support system, and cultural traditions endure, offering a source of identity and pride. The Israeli occupation has crippled the Palestinian economy, leaving it heavily dependent on foreign aid. The separation barrier, checkpoints, and restrictions on movement disrupt trade and commerce, making it difficult for businesses to operate. The confiscation of land for settlements further reduces the amount of land available for agriculture, a key sector of the Palestinian economy. The control over borders and resources gives Israel significant leverage over the Palestinian economy. The Paris Protocol, an economic agreement signed as part of the Oslo Accords, has failed to deliver on its promise of economic cooperation and development. Instead, it has left the Palestinian economy shackled to Israeli policies, creating a relationship of dependence rather than partnership. Unemployment rates in the West Bank remain stubbornly high, particularly among young people. The lack of economic opportunities fuels a sense of hopelessness and despair, pushing some towards extremism. The brain drain, as educated Palestinians seek opportunities elsewhere, further weakens the Palestinian economy. The international community has poured billions of dollars in aid into the West Bank, but much of it is siphoned off by corruption and mismanagement. The lack of transparency and accountability within the Palestinian Authority, the governing body in the West Bank, further exacerbates the economic woes. Palestinian youth, growing up under occupation, face a bleak future. The restrictions on movement, limited access to quality education, and lack of job opportunities have created a generation disillusioned and frustrated. They see little hope for a better future, their dreams stifled by the realities of their situation. The Palestinian education system, hampered by underfunding and Israeli interference, struggles to provide quality education. Many schools are overcrowded and lack basic resources. The curriculum, often dictated by Israel, fails to adequately address the Palestinian narrative, further alienating Palestinian youth. The lack of recreational opportunities compounds the sense of despair. With limited access to parks, sports facilities, and cultural centers, Palestinian youth have few outlets to express themselves or escape the daily grind of occupation. This lack of opportunity can lead to boredom, frustration, and in some cases, engagement in risky behavior. Despite these challenges, Palestinian youth demonstrate remarkable resilience and determination. They find creative ways to resist the occupation, whether through art, music, or activism. They organize protests, run underground schools, and create online platforms to amplify their voices. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with the West Bank at its heart, remains a focal point of international attention. The United Nations, through various resolutions, has condemned the Israeli occupation and called for a two-state solution. However, these resolutions have largely been ignored by Israel, which enjoys unwavering support from the United States. The international community, divided on how to resolve the conflict, has failed to exert enough pressure on Israel to end the occupation. Some countries, particularly in Europe, have taken steps to differentiate between Israel and the settlements, labeling settlement products and refusing to do business with companies operating in the occupied territories. The Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions (BDS) movement, a global campaign aimed at pressuring Israel to comply with international law, has gained traction in recent years. The movement calls for boycotting Israeli products, divesting from companies complicit in the occupation, and sanctioning Israel until it ends its violations of Palestinian rights. The ongoing conflict in the West Bank poses significant challenges to regional stability. The unresolved issues, coupled with the volatile political climate in the Middle East, create a tinderbox that could ignite at any moment. A just and lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is crucial not only for the people directly affected, but also for the peace and security of the entire region. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is characterized by a seemingly intractable cycle of violence. Palestinian attacks against Israeli targets are often met with swift and disproportionate Israeli military responses. This tit-for-tat violence only serves to deepen the animosity between the two sides, making a peaceful resolution even more elusive. Palestinian resistance to the occupation takes many forms, from peaceful protests and civil disobedience to armed struggle. While some Palestinians believe in armed resistance as a legitimate means of self-defense against what they see as an illegal occupation, others advocate for nonviolent methods, arguing that violence only begets more violence. The Israeli government justifies its military actions as necessary to protect its citizens from terrorism. However, critics argue that Israel's use of force is often excessive and indiscriminate, resulting in civilian casualties and further fueling the cycle of violence. The demolition of Palestinian homes, the detention of Palestinian children, and the collective punishment of entire communities are just some of the controversial Israeli practices that have drawn international condemnation. The media plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion about the conflict. Both Israeli and Palestinian narratives often present one-sided accounts, demonizing the other and justifying their own actions. This biased reporting only serves to reinforce existing prejudices and make it more difficult to find common ground. Behind the headlines and political rhetoric lie countless human stories of resilience and loss. For Palestinians living under occupation, every day is a struggle to maintain a sense of normalcy amidst the constant threat of violence, displacement, and economic hardship. Yet, despite these challenges, they continue to exhibit remarkable strength and determination. There are stories of Palestinian farmers struggling to cultivate their land under the shadow of the separation barrier, of students walking miles to reach their schools, and of families torn apart by imprisonment and displacement. These stories, often untold and unseen, paint a poignant picture of the human cost of the conflict. There are also stories of hope and resilience, of Palestinian doctors working tirelessly in understaffed hospitals, of teachers nurturing the minds of the next generation, and of artists using their creativity to give voice to their struggle. These stories serve as a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Palestinian people. The international community has a moral obligation to listen to these stories, to acknowledge the suffering of both Palestinians and Israelis, and to work towards a just and lasting peace. Ignoring the human cost of this conflict is not an option. The road to peace in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is long and arduous, fraught with obstacles and setbacks. Yet, despite the challenges, there remains a flicker of hope that a just and lasting solution can be found. Achieving this goal, however, will require both sides to make difficult compromises and to break free from the cycle of violence and mistrust that has plagued them for decades. The two-state solution, based on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as the capital of a Palestinian state, remains the most viable option for peace. However, the continued expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank and the lack of political will on both sides make the realization of this goal increasingly difficult. Grassroots peace initiatives, involving Palestinians and Israelis working together to build bridges of understanding and trust, offer a glimmer of hope. These initiatives, often overlooked in the midst of the conflict, demonstrate that coexistence and reconciliation are possible. The international community has a crucial role to play in facilitating dialogue, providing economic assistance, and holding both sides accountable for their actions. Ultimately, however, the responsibility for achieving peace rests with the Israelis and Palestinians themselves. Only through dialogue, compromise, and a shared commitment to peace can they hope to break the cycle of violence and create a better future for generations to come.